And we're live.
We're live.
Hello,
Hello.
everyone. I always
Oh,
love
someone's
saying
already.
hello, everyone,
Yeah.
when it's like no one's here yet because we literally just started. Like, I
Well,
always wonder,
someone's
like,
saying hi.
yes,
Black cat.
true. Hi, Black Cat. Yeah, I always wonder if we should do let's do something else in the beginning, but I don't
True.
know.
We can switch it up in the future.
Yes, but until then, I can say hello, Grace. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, chilling. Lots of stuff happening in the world, I feel like, but yeah, I'm good. How are you doing, Jack? How's New York?
Going well. New York's good. It's cold again, but I think we're heading into spring.
You'd think.
You'd think. But yeah, no,
Time
just
will
excited
tell. Yeah,
to
yeah,
live here and talk to you today about the metaverse
Nice.
and yeah, really just dive deep. I feel like we haven't talked about the metaverse in some time, and
yeah.
this is something I feel like we used to talk about all the time. Maybe a year ago, like this was such a part of the hype that was going on, and now it's sort
Right.
of like quieted down. And I think that's why we wanted to talk about it today, is like revisit almost our past and update on like what's happening.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I feel like when was it? I don't even remember when exactly they launched, but it was like everyone was talking about it. I mean, Zuckerberg was so confident that he named the whole company Meta, so I think that
Yeah,
also made a splash. And it feels like now, I guess recently, Disney has cut their Metaverse
yeah,
division. Microsoft also kind of started cutting their division, I think, or not focusing on it as much. And even I think Facebook, yeah, Facebook also is like, reducing staff on working on the metaverse, switching more
yeah.
towards like talking about more AI, generative AI features. So I don't know, it's not looking too hot for the metaverse, I think.
Yeah, just to get a little more specific on that. Yeah, so Meta has shifted focus. I don't know if you guys have heard, but Zuckerberg has really started like sort of driving home that this is going to be the year of efficiency. He keeps saying that because during the pandemic they like overhired a ton and like we're spending tons of money, and now they're saying like we're laying off a bunch of people and we are becoming very efficient, cutting out middle management. And yeah, it's really interesting. I think they're still like going towards the metaverse, but definitely doesn't seem like it's the same sort of hype and the same sort of like commitment to making this happen as soon as possible.
Yeah. Right, right, right. Yeah, and I think maybe ultimately what people are realizing is like this kind of stuff takes years, if not decades. I think like when companies make huge announcements like, oh, we're going to focus on this thing and it's going to be huge, it's going to change the world. It's like, okay, but like, when is that going to happen? Like, are we even going to see that in our lifetimes? I think
Yeah.
that's like a big question. And it kind of feels like it's going to be really slow. Like, I feel like they followed up that announcement of like, oh, we're now changing our name from Facebook to Meta. They remember when they released the like preview of the new avatars and what they would look like, and it was like Mark
You're talking about this?
Zuckerberg. Oh, not that. That was like
Oh,
this video was also like a huge meme. I feel like it got turned
yeah.
into, but just like the photo of Mark Zuckerberg's metaverse avatar, like in
This?
front of the Eiffel Tower. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And they released that, and everyone was like, "Bro, like we had that so long ago. We've had that in other platforms so long ago. Like, what? This is the best thing you could come up with." I think that was like a moment where people were like, "All right, this is." Well, let's not talk about this for 10 years and then we'll check in again.
Yeah.
That was like the feeling.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting to see how much the hype has gone away. I think because sort of what we're getting at, I think we should discuss firstly what challenges did the metaverse have in obtaining mass adoption. Firstly, I think, yeah, like you're saying, this is one of them. Like, it doesn't look that good, firstly. And why I pulled up the video is because I feel like they really like overpromised a lot. And like, here, let me go into theater mode.
Yeah, like honestly, the video looks pretty cool. Like this looks interesting, you know?
Yeah. And like obviously like everyone's like fully 3D animated, rendered, like flying around and socializing. And it just seems too good to be true, which obviously it is. Like this is a proof of concept, not necessarily like what they were saying they could do now. But I think like
Right.
people expect everything to happen so quickly right now that if you tease something that's like a decade away, like, and
Right.
it's not even like, you know, we don't even really know if this is possible.
Right.
It just after, you know, at first it's cool because it's like, wow, this is pretty amazing, the possibilities. But then after almost 2 years, there's barely anything to
Right.
show for it. It becomes kind of a letdown.
Yeah, definitely. I also think like one major thing that has prohibited their mass adoption is just like to access the metaverse feels such like such a high barrier right now. Like I personally, I've used an Oculus before, but I've not been in like Horizon Worlds or like any other. I guess I've been on like metaverses that are more like on my computer, but that don't require a headset. So yeah, I don't think I've actually experienced the metaverse that Meta is building. And their headsets are like hundreds of dollars. I think their most recent one, they priced it initially at like over $1,000. Yeah, like $1,000 just to get this headset to go into.
And that's that's the new markdown. It was initially 1,500.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty
like,
crazy.
Yeah, it just how many people are going to be able to, one, afford this, two, want to spend their money on this, three, like actually go into the metaverse and spend time there. And I also think like the metaverse relies in the same way that social media platforms do. It relies on like some sort of critical mass of people being in there to make it interesting. Like if you go into the metaverse and no one is there, it's like, all right, you're just walking around in a virtual world, right? Like I think the fun part is like interacting with people and just like goofing off or like having conversations. And I think it's a hard problem because you don't have that virality yet. And how do you get that? It's like to have more people. So it's kind of a vicious cycle in that way too. Have you tried the metaverse, Jack?
I haven't tried the metaverse. I have tried quite a bit of VR gaming, and I have to say, like, a lot of it is really impressive, but that doesn't like really surprise me. You know, like immersive gaming is an easier thing to create, I think, because generally it's not a social thing. It's something that you can do alone. You just need the headset, and then it's like, yeah, obviously it's going to be cool, like because you're surrounded by this game. It's really immersive. But like when it comes to like, I don't know, the thing about the metaverse being a place for people to socialize is really interesting because in order to socialize effectively, you need to be in a state of like comfort, I think. Whereas like it's not really that comfortable yet in many different ways to be in VR. Firstly, it like literally can hurt your eyes, it can hurt your neck. Like physically, it's not really awesome to be within the headset for like more than an hour. And secondly, like a lot of the people in the metaverse it's giving sort of like random internet people that like you don't have a lot in common with. Like there's nothing really like bridging you together with these people. And so it doesn't feel like you can have like sustainable, like genuine relationships with people yet online. And so I think that's really what's prohibiting as well, of course, as what you said, like it costs a lot of money. And like ultimately my belief is that, and I don't know if this is even possible or like what this would look like, so easy for me to say, but like instead of asking people to order $1,000 piece of equipment, that's never going to happen for mass adoption. You need to make a metaverse that's easy to dive into on your phone, because everyone has a smartphone these days. And obviously that's not going to be as immersive. You're not going to be strapped in, but and that even brings me, sorry, I'm bouncing around a lot, but that even gets me to the question of like, what is a metaverse? Like, do we already have them just on our phones? Like, what's the difference between just an online community with like a little, I don't know, like with multimedia. Like, does it really have to be an immersive experience where you're like in it? I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I think the concept of the metaverse was coined like decades ago by an author. I forgot the book's title, but yeah, people have been thinking about this, like conceptualizing this like virtual world where you're interacting with people for decades at this point. So it's not a new concept. And I think a lot of people mistakenly think that Meta like invented the metaverse, and they definitely did not. There have been like online communities in the same way that's not 100% immersive with the headset and all that, but there definitely have been metaverses that already exist. And I think an interesting thing I've talked about with people too is like, I think when the metaverse was originally conceptualized, it was the whole, like a major point of it was that it was kind of like decentralized or like not owned by any one company. Yeah. It was like owned by the people in a way, like, and so I think like Meta trying to build this thing, it's like almost the opposite of what it was designed or like people initially wanted it to be. Where like now one company, Meta, owns this whole idea of the metaverse and like is building this thing that they're trying to turn into like the place that is thought of as a metaverse.
Yeah.
So I think there's like some people that don't like that aspect of it too. But yeah, I think I agree. I think like if they could get some sort of mobile or like desktop experience, just like another experience, because I feel like at this point it's just such an idea to people that most people haven't tried the metaverse, that it's like, what even is this? Like, where is it? How do I get to it? You keep talking about it. I keep seeing articles about it, but like, what is it? You know, it's just like not real to people. And I don't think it will be real until they like try it in any way. So yeah, I think that's like a major point as well.
Yeah. Just want to say welcome, Black Cat,
Kaboing,
Zedlina, and Brandy. How's it going, you guys? Have you guys ever used the Facebook metaverse or any metaverse? Really interested in hearing your thoughts.
Yeah.
But yes,
okay,
Grace,
another...
I think that's true. I mean, it's like decentralization was such a large point, and a lot of people were really like sort of upset when Disney tried to like coin themselves as the metaverse when it was something, or at least a concept that like predated Meta at all.
Yeah, I think another thing is just that, I don't know. Yeah, I think it'll just take so long for this thing that they showed in the promo video to become real that, you know, like at this point, it's kind of a fad, I think. It's also another, like, because the headset is so expensive, and I think it's like another point is just like, what do you do in the metaverse? You know, like I think this video and like a lot of their materials have shown it as this place where you can have fun and like make connections with people. But like there's so many other ways today to do that I think they're just competing against like every other way to have fun and be entertained, you know? I know they also like tried to push like Meta for work and like, it makes remote work easier because you can all kind of be in the same space and feel like you're with your coworkers. But I don't know if that's really gonna be I think there's just something about like physically being with other people that you can't replicate, at least today. Like you can't replicate that with like technology or like something like the metaverse.
Yeah. No, I think we're a long way off from all these promises, and the question is obviously, will we ever get there? I don't know, but I did want to give sort of the other end of the spectrum some consideration too, and talk about what are the use cases and what's good about the metaverse, because obviously like there's always going to be something unique about such a push towards technology. So, have you found any interest in use cases for the metaverse or like metaverse adjacent
Mm.
programs, technology.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is like, it is an interesting way to meet people. That's for sure. Like, I think when you're physically in public and there are strangers around, it's like kind of hard to actually initiate conversations. I
Yeah.
think, especially these days, because like, I don't know, there's more of a concern for like your physical safety. Like, if some stranger starts talking to you, you don't know their intentions, like you are physically next to them, they could do it, it's just your mind starts like, I think there's some anxiety with being in public with people and like talking to them, versus in the metaverse you're physically safe, so you don't have to worry about that. But you can talk to people, and I think it could provide like interesting perspectives of just like, meeting people from other countries, or like meeting people you would never meet. Whether you have something in common, that's like another question, I guess. I think it is interesting because a lot of people going into the metaverse today have different intentions. Like, I definitely think some of them are there to like troll people and just like goof off. And if you're actually trying to have a conversation and they're just like doing whatever, it's like, that's not a great interaction either. But yeah, I think it can like lead to these interesting connections with people for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's true. I will just not push back. Like, I definitely think that's true. But again, even though I started with this question trying to be like, oh, well, there's got to be some great things about it, and I'm sure that there are. Still, what I come back to innately, just personally, I have these opinions. But it's like, you can already do that, like on Discord. Like there's platforms where you can use speech, video chat, typing, whatever, find tons of different communities. And in fact, maybe it's even easier to connect on like a text-based forward chat, because if English isn't your first language, then it is easier to connect with people, just a more diverse crowd, because it's like an easier, you can use it from the phone or whatever. So yeah, I still wonder, like, is that really setting it apart from anything else? Like, I don't know.
I could see,
I guess I was just gonna say, I guess that's like the struggle they're having right at Meta, which is that like not enough people are signing up fast enough. It's not like a huge wave to get on these platforms, and that's probably why.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because it's like, they definitely tried to push the like social connection interaction thing to like a consumer audience. Like the vast majority of people can like kind of be interested in something like that, versus I think like actually most of the useful use cases are like where the metaverse would actually be helpful more so than like just having social interaction, is like for very specific like audiences, like I could see it's being a good tool for simulations. Like if you're in med school, you're training to be a doctor, you're trying to like do surgery, you can literally simulate that, using something like the metaverse, where there's no risk of like actual patients getting harmed, but you're like doing the movements and like whatever. I could see that, like training purposes, simulations. I think we've seen companies, like there's a company that uses it for batting, like for baseball teams, like to practice batting and get coaching on their swing, which I don't know. Yeah, I think that's genuinely useful for those companies. I mean, they're clearly using it today, and but I think like this vast majority of the world using the metaverse use case is like less interesting. There's too much other competition. Oh yeah, this is the company.
Yeah, this is the company.
Reality.
You like attach a controller to a bat, like a real bat, and you swing, and then it can like read the like arch, like I guess, of like how you swung and whatever. Which I think that is interesting and a good use case, but also I feel like that is pretty niche like tool,
it's
which is sort
niche.
of contradictory to the messaging that they began with, which is like the metaverse is useful for everyone. But but if like every industry can apply a little niche tool, then like obviously that makes it really useful.
Yeah. I think the hard part of like, I know one other use case is like using it for work for companies who work remotely. You can do meetings and feel like you're in person. But I think it's just like, so like, unless it gets really easy to access the metaverse, really cheap, it almost becomes like Zoom. I think until that happens, it's not good. It's just so much extra effort to like go in here. And now you have to train people on how to use the metaverse and like not like walk around during the meeting and like show random stuff on the screen. But yeah, so I think that use case is just like for the vast majority of people who don't know how to use it, it's just like such a high barrier when they could just get on Zoom and have probably a more productive meeting, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think like the hype is gone, and the hype has moved to AI now, which is like something that we actually tangibly can use like today, I think. And I think that's like the big difference is, even though like AI, there's a lot of promises, right, with AI that haven't been met either. Like, you know, it's going to be able to like pull a completely amazing video out of a text prompt. Like right now, it's not realistic. You can type in a piece of text and like make a video, but it's like practically a GIF and it looks bad. But but you can use certain tools today that you like can't get otherwise. Whereas like,
and I think
the problem with the metaverse is like you can log into Roblox and get the same thing. You know?
Yeah. And I think the thing with the AI stuff, like today, the generative AI things, the technology is progressing so fast. Like we're building AI video creation tools at Kapwing, and you can sign up if you're interested on our landing page. But I think like that kind of stuff is just going so fast that like in a couple months, like we might have like, we're literally building some of these tools where you can create videos that you can post on social media or other places. So it's like going so much faster. And I think, you know, that is what sustains the hype. If people like with the metaverse, it was like this huge announcement that everyone was talking about and just felt like it fell so flat in terms of what was actually happening. Although like part of me wonders, like, should Meta have waited to like announce this until they actually had more concrete, like, I don't know, features, or just like a cheaper Oculus or a more accessible metaverse? Like, I don't know. I guess because it just feels like they announced it and then started working on it. And I'm sure they were working on it for a few years, but it just feels like, what did they think was going to happen?
No, I hear that. I think it's a fine line between like putting stuff out that is half-baked, but like you want the hype and you want the reputation of being like the forefront of the metaverse, right? But then if you don't actually produce anything worth using, then it backfires and makes you look a little silly. So
Yes,
it's tough, but
yep.
Yeah,
and,
but
I mean,
AI...
I was gonna say I could see the metaverse becoming like the next form of social media, but it would be like years, if not decades. I think it's just the next step of like connecting people. And obviously, like, you know, there's still a lot of people who don't use things like Instagram or TikTok or Twitter. And I think there will be people who don't use the metaverse in the future, but I think like that option will become maybe more popular as it gets developed and accessible. But we will have to see.
We will have to see. All right. Well, I feel like that's a good place to retire.
I think we covered it.
Yeah, we've covered it. In short, metaverse, good luck. We'll swing back. We'll swing back and report in another year if nothing's happened. But thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We are here every Friday, so make sure to come back next time.
Yes.
Grace.
Sweet. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, Jack. It's been real.
It's been real.
Catch y'all later.
See you next time. Bye.